Hello everybody, welcome to another session of HPSG. In the last video, we have learned about some simple theories of grammar. Particularly, we looked at lists as grammars and regular expressions. And we saw that they cannot account for different features of languages. What are the issues to be addressed in our grammar? One is infinite number of sentences. As we know, one can produce any kind of sentence in a language. So that means the number of sentences in a language are infinite. Recursion. You can have one embedded phrase in another phrase, or one embedded clause in another clause, and you can have any number of clauses embedded one in each other. This can be very long. And then sentences are structured. When we say sentences are structured, there is a particular structure. You cannot have, in English for example, an object before a subject or a verb before a subject, etc. There is a particular order which we see. In the last video, we have seen that a quantifier cannot follow a noun. A quantifier can only precede a noun. That is, we can only say some sentences are long. We cannot say sentences some are very long. That is, sentences are structured. Then there are sentences which are ambiguous. That means when you say a sentence is ambiguous, it has two meanings. When it has two meanings, it has two structures. So the two kinds of grammar which we have seen earlier, lists as grammars and regular expressions, cannot account for that. Then very important aspect of theory of grammar is that it should account for generalities or generalizations about all languages. All languages look different, but there may be certain commonalities which need to be accounted for by in a theory of grammar. In this video, we are going to look at context-free grammars. When you say context-free grammars, the rules which are in the grammars, they are not specified for any context, right? They are context-free grammars. A context-free phrase structure grammar, or a context-free grammar, let's say, has two parts. One is lexicon and the other is a set of rules. And the set of rules are of the form A consists of phi, where A is a non-lexical category. That means they are not nouns, verbs, etc. They are above nouns. And phi is a regular expression, which may be a lexical or a non-lexical category. Why are we calling it a regular expression? Because there may be recursion. If you remember, we used a star above particular category to represent the recursion. And the arrow in this rule, A arrow phi, means consists of. A consists of phi. So a context-free grammar has an initial symbol. It cannot start on its own. So there should be an initial symbol, which is a standalone symbol that is not derived from anything. For example, S is an initial symbol. It's a standalone symbol. It stands for all sentences in a language. Let's look at some examples of context-free phrase structure grammar rules. S consists of NP, VP here, and NP consists of D, A, N, PP. What do we see here? D is a lexical item. We are keeping it in brackets. Brackets show optionality. That is, D, the determiner, is optional. And we see A with an asterisk mark, right? Which shows that it can occur any number of times. Remember regular expression? That's what we meant. N is the, again, a lexical item which occurs only once. And then you have a prepositional phrase which has a star again. That means it can repeat any number of times. You can have any number of PPs. Similarly, a verb phrase consists of verb, an NP which is optional, a PP which is also optional. A PP consists of a preposition and an NP. None of them is optional. They are compulsory. They are obligatory. Along with this is a set of rules which we talked about. Here A consists of 5, and then we have the lexicon. The lexicon consists of the category D and the words. That means the and some belong to the category of D. Then you have A, that is adjective, big, brown, old. N is a noun, birds, fleas, dog, hunter. And the verb, you have attack, ate, watched. Then you have preposition for, beside, with. Context-free grammar, is it a theory of natural language grammar? Formal properties of context-free grammars were studied extremely well, and it was observed that complex context-free grammars are not descriptively adequate. They are not descriptively adequate to account for all the properties of languages. Right? That is, we have seen here that infinite number of sentences, yes, context-free grammar can account for them. Recursion, yes, if we add regular expressions, we have that. Sentences are structured, yes, an NP consists of determinant and noun, not a determinant noun, right? Ambiguity, yes, maybe you can have two structures generated by phrase structure grammar. Up to this point, phrase structure grammars looks that they can account for languages. But a particular thing about languages, that is generalizations about languages, are not. Generalizations, what are common between languages, that is not possible with a theory of natural language. That is, you can write a grammar, a context-free grammar for English. That grammar accounts for only English, but not for other languages. Right? We need a generalization that a context-free grammar can be a theory of natural language grammar. So, after a lot of work, it has been thought, yes, we need to add something else to context-free grammars. So, additional components like transformations were added as an extension of CFG. If you remember, Chomsky in the beginning, in 1957 and 1965, he added transformation rules. So, what do transformations rules do? Transformation rules change or transform one phrase structure tree into another phrase structure tree. That is, if you have an active voice sentence which has an active structure, will be changed to passive sentence or passive sentence structure. Right? That was added to at least have a theory of natural language grammar. Later in 1982, Jeffrey Pullum and Gerald Gusder questioned CFG as theory of natural language grammar. They published many papers, and their papers were based on mathematical and empirical work, and that resulted in a new theory. The theory was called generalized phrase structure grammar. Generalized phrase structure grammar, which actually later changed to what we are studying now, head-driven phrase structure grammar, or HPSG in short. Let's look at application of context-free grammars. Let's apply it to English. Right? So, what are the set of phrase structure rules of English? S is the initial symbol, and it consists of a noun phrase and a verb phrase. Till that, it's okay. And then noun phrase. What's a noun phrase? When you look at a noun phrase, dogs can be a noun phrase. Our dog can also be a noun phrase. This dog can be a noun phrase. My dog can also be a noun phrase. That means a simple noun can be a noun phrase. A determiner, article, and a noun can be a noun phrase. A demonstrative and a noun can be a noun phrase. Similarly, a possessive and a noun can also be a noun phrase. What we see is and this or my cannot occur together. That is, you cannot say this dog or this my dog. So this and my can be put into one class. That is, articles, demonstratives, and possessives are put in one class, and we call the class determiners. So a noun phrase consists of a noun. It can also have a determiner and a noun. That means determiner can be optional, right? But that's not enough. Look at the next phrase. A beggar on the street in Hyderabad cried. Here the noun phrase is a beggar on the street in Hyderabad. So where you see a noun beggar, it is modified by an article, the determiner. So up to this is okay, what we have seen in the earlier phrases. But later, after the noun, we have on the street in Hyderabad. You have a prepositional phrase, and that prepositional phrase consists of a noun phrase, and the noun in that noun phrase is modified by another prepositional phrase. So a beggar on the street in Hyderabad consists of not only a determiner and a noun. In addition to it, we have what we call prepositional phrase. So what we do is we create a noun phrase rule in this manner. A noun phrase consists of a determiner, which is optional, and a nominal. What is a nominal? Nominal can be a noun, like a dog, like dog in a dog, or dog in this dog. Or a nominal can be nominal and a prepositional phrase. That is, it can be beggar and on the street in Hyderabad. So what we see is that nominal, which is here, which consists of PP here, need not be there. It is kind of optional, right? But we are not putting in brackets. So we are writing two different rules here. Nominal can be noun, or noun can be noun and a PP, which accounts for the recursion in a noun phrase. Let's look at a verb phrase. Look at the sentence here. The boy ran, caught the ball, and gave the girl a toffee. How many verb phrases are there? There are three verb phrases. Ran, caught the ball, gave the girl a toffee. In the first verb phrase, there is only a verb. It is just a verb. In the second verb phrase, what we have is a verb and a noun phrase, the ball. And in the third verb phrase, we have verb, a noun phrase, and another noun phrase. So, to account for three different kinds of verb phrases, we write a rule like this. Verb phrase consists of a verb, a noun phrase, which is optional, another noun phrase, which can also be optional. That means when both the noun phrases are not there, it represents ran. When there is only one noun phrase, it represents the ball, caught the ball. When there are two noun phrases, the rule represents gave the girl a toffee. Look at the next sentence. The child cried at midnight. Cried is a verb, and you have at midnight a verb phrase, at a prepositional phrase. So you have verb and a preposition together in a verb phrase now. Right? So this we account for by a rule. Verb phrase consists of verb phrase and a prepositional phrase. Why are we saying verb phrase? At midnight can occur in this sentence too. The boy ran, caught the ball, and gave the girl a toffee at midnight. Right? This is an adjunct basically. So we are looking at that part of it. and we're calling it, we have the rule VP consists of VP and a PP. What's a PP? When we say a PP to the girl or at midnight, what do we have? A noun and a P. A noun phrase and a P. So a noun can also be a noun phrase. We have seen that. So a PP consists of a preposition and a noun phrase. Let's come to the last rule. A boy, a girl, a puppy and a cat run in the park. What do we see here? There's a noun phrase, a boy. There's another noun phrase, a girl. There is a noun phrase, a puppy, and a cat, another noun phrase. All of them are conjoined by the conjunction and. This is a coordinate phrase, coordinate noun phrase. Right? What's happening here is there are three noun phrases and another noun phrase joined by and. You can even have one noun phrase here and then and the conjunction and a noun phrase. That means NP and NP. You can have NP, NP and NP. You can have NP, NP, NP and NP. Or NP, 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 NP and NP. Right? To account for this is a coordinate noun phrase, right? So it's not just noun phrases, even verb phrases can be coordinated. We have seen here, ran, caught the ball and gave the girl a toffee. So we need a general coordinate phrase rule, which is like this. X consists of X plus, right? Clean plus. We are using clean plus. You can even use clean star, doesn't matter, right? X plus conjunction and X. What does X represent? X may represent a noun phrase, a verb phrase, or adjective phrase, or a preposition phrase, right? It may represent any phrase. It may represent anything there. So this is a set of phrase structure rules of English. When we apply the context-free grammar which we have seen earlier, here the rule, right? We have that. Along with this, we can have a lexicon. The lexicon may consist of words like dog, a, this, my, beggar, on, in, Hyderabad, cried, right? That's the lexicon. Everything becomes the context. Everything together becomes context-free grammar of English. Now let's look at trees. In fact, the context-free grammar, which we have seen in the phrase structure rules, can actually generate a tree. We have already learned about trees, so this is only refreshing your memory, what you have learned. A tree has structure like this. S consists of NPVP, the rule, phrase structure rule. S consists of NPVP, where you can see that NP and VP, there are two branches of the S. And then VP, V, etc. Others are also, they are all called nodes. And V are N, and here other N, they are all terminal nodes. They are leaves of the tree. Right? How do you construct a tree? You have a lexical item, comes with a category. That means there is already a tree. That's projection. Or cat is a noun, right? That we find it in the lexicon. And that noun projects nominal, and then that projects noun phrase along with the D. So you construct a tree. You can construct tree from bottom up, or you can also construct tree from top down. It doesn't matter whichever direction you would like to construct a tree, right? But there are other notions which we have already seen earlier in the earlier courses. Immediately dominate or dominate. So here S dominates or immediately dominates and NPVP, right? It either dominates and or immediately dominates. But you can also say S dominates D, nominal, V, NP, and so on. Even this N is dominated by S, right? Immediate domination is the node consists of the two nodes which are immediately there. So S immediately consists of NP-VP, that's the definition. So you have a tree here. This tree is well formed. This tree is well formed. How do you know that it's well formed? A well formed tree is one where each local subtree of that tree, right? Each local subtree of that tree is a well formed lexical tree, or is in one-to-one tree-to-rule correspondence with some rule of the grammar. What does it mean? If you look at this structure, this tree is a well-formed tree because S consists of local trees, subtrees. Each one is well formed. How are they well formed? You have a lexical item, the D, cat N, chased V, John N. You have local subtrees, and also they satisfy rules. NP consists of D nominal. It satisfies the rule here. NP consists of D nominal. Similarly, VP consists of V NP. This satisfies your VP rule. VP consists of V and NP. Or S consists of NP VP. Satisfies this rule. So, if local subtree either is from the lexicon or by a rule, that's what it means here. Is a well-formed lexical tree or is in one-to-one tree-to-rule correspondence with some rule of the grammar, right? This is phrase structure grammar or context-free phrase structure grammar, right? We have learnt in this video context-free grammars, context-free phrase structure grammars. We have seen whether it's a theory of natural language grammar. We have written a set of rules for English, and we have seen what a tree is, right? We will learn more about context-free grammars in the next video. Thank you. Let's meet in the next video.